news update. My name remains Israel Ibeleme, and I'm also here in the studio with Alhaji Mustafa, our favorite analyst. Alhaji, how are you doing, sir?
Fine. Good morning.
Good morning. How have you been?
I'm fine.
It's okay. So, compliment of the season. I can say that because we're approaching close to Christmas.
Yeah.
All right, please, in case you're following us for the first time, do not forget to follow us on our social media handle on Aspheric News. On Aspheric News on Twitter, Aspheric News on Instagram, official Aspheric News on our Facebook channel. Do not forget to follow us. Also, do not forget to read more about our content and news break on www.asphericnews.com. Thank you. Also, do not forget to call us if you have any information on the details of the news that you want us to talk about. Please do not forget to call us on +234 80 +234 8099998117, and I repeat +234 8099998117. Today we'll be talking about on our newspaper headlines, and especially we're going to start today on Guardian newspaper. If you recall, some days ago, there's a news break that in Niger Delta that a pipeline was discovered. That's on type pipeline that was discovered and detected by some surveillance Tompolo. I think that's the Tompolo group as well, and it was discovered. And they say that it's over how many years? 10 years or thereabout. That same group has been tapping on Nigerian wealth for years. Our Commonwealth for years.
Yeah.
And my question to you is, I did not know, how did it happen? At what point do you think this that should be a professional company must have done this?
Yeah.
Because figure it as making sure that the pipe is opened, piping it is a professional job.
It's a professional job. It's not something of a layman or some group of maybe community. No, this has gone beyond the community thing. You know, some of these pipes are underwater.
Exactly. So
in the high sea, they now, it's like where you have a pipe that runs to your own house, legally run to your own house. Your own neighbor now fuse his own pipe into your own and be tapping from your own water to his own this thing, and that is exactly what they are doing.
And you say we are not aware.
And the NNPC, they are saying they are not aware. To me, this is more or less of an organized syndicate, organized crime, whereby I'm sorry to say this, that the law enforcement agencies too, they should be in the know of this, because the situation of the pipeline that has been tampered with, tankers are coming to load. Those tankers that are coming to load, they pass through the security check till this point to load, and then to the high sea before they go to the international maritime water. So are we saying that our own Nigerian Navy here, they are not in the know? So a lot of questions have not been answered, and I believe that if government really want to go into this, the more heads will roll. Tompolo has been given that contract with the contract that is worth about 5 billion naira. 5 billion naira. So, and he's doing his work. At least we have seen so far that a tanker has been burnt by the Nigerian Navy, and now we have seen a pipeline whereby other pipes are being connected to it, and ships are coming to load. So we commend him. We commend the NNPC too, because no matter what we say, NNPC, if they had wanted to cover up, they wouldn't have given him the contract in the first place. Because
but my question is, how will this happen without the management?
See,
do you understand?
If you observe recently, there was a kind of accusation between NNPC, Nigerian Navy, and Nigeria Customs. Each, there were trading accusation here and there. So, a situation like that is only the presidency that can wade into it and say, okay, look, gentlemen, I want to know exactly what is happening here. Nigerian Navy is accusing NNPC to say, look, we do our own work. Each ship that enter into our own maritime domain, we check the documents supplied to us by NNPC to say, okay, so tanker is coming to load, and we allowed the tanker to load based on the quantity of the crude that they are taking away. Now the situation, another situation, the dimension to it now is the dimension of tampering with the pipeline. Are we saying that in the same NPC saying that they are not aware? Because if you look at it, it's just like when you have let me use this analogy of NEPA meter. The meter you are seeing in your house, there's another external meter outside that the energy that you are consuming, maybe probably within your estate, NEPA or AADC, they are aware of the number of megawatt that they supply to your estate. If the amount of megawatt now increases, they know quite quickly that look, something is happening somewhere. So if you see that each oil platform, the oil that is being extracted from the platform down to the pipeline, NNPC know the quantity, and if the quantity that they are loading is over, they should know. So it means that there is an organized crime somewhere, and nobody is trying to nobody is asking question, because the very body that's supposed to ask that question, they are not doing it, and that is the only president that can do that. And so far now, the president is the minister.
But my question to you is, so since this has been existing over the years, and
I believe that it's more than a decade.
Over the years, yes, and this company that is taking this crude has also have a name.
Yeah.
That should be named.
Yes.
I think what they showed us was they have discovered a taproot.
Yes.
And they didn't tell us, we have arrested Mr. A or Mr. Z.
No, they have not.
They won't tell us that this Mr. Z is responsible for this act. This group were responsible. That's what we want to. So there's no prosecution. So what is going on? Are they showing us that it's not like taking a picture from someone?
That is why we're saying that it's an organized crime. Organized crime because let's even look at it this way. You don't have an illegal ship coming into the maritime domain here to load. It's only the licensed shipping line or licensed contractors that are being given that license to say, okay, look, lift crude from here. Then a situation whereby you have an illegal ship that is stepping into our own domain, Nigerian Navy, they should be able to know. But in this case now, Nigerian Navy are saying, no, look, we do our own work. We allowed ships or tankers to enter into the maritime domain here to load based on the documents supplied to us by the NNPC. So something is wrong somewhere. NNPC, they should be able to come out and tell Nigerians the truth that look, this thing that is happening, we are not in the know of it. So otherwise, for now, they are culpable in this crime.
Our Nigerian main concern is that there's so much hunger in the land, and this money belongs to Nigerians, and that money wants to be utilizing it. But my question I ask you, why is it that those communities that these areas have been dominated are not properly developed with this money?
Well,
they tap this crude illegally.
Well, if you observe very well, this thing is more of a constitutional issue because. Apart from what the subvention that they are allocated to the oil producing states, you have 13% derivation, of which is entirely theirs. If we are talking about more of a constitutional this thing now, it has to be due in a situation. Remember that in the year 1999/2000, there was an argument here and there that calls for a review of the constitution whereby oil producing states will have the right to their resources within their domain. So that is why it's more or less of a constitutional issue. And now that they are talking about, okay, if oil is found within your community, you are entitled to 13% from the oil that is being tapped from your community. So the 13%, what they use it for, is entirely their decision. So it's just that it's unfortunate that, look, we have a situation whereby the country whereby people that belong to a particular community whereby they sustain the nation, they are not being taken care of. And some of them, for instance, like the Niger Delta, you now see some of the Niger Delta boys, they are being forced to go into bunkering, whereby, because they don't have a job, since they don't have a job, they don't have a stake in the oil company, they have to to go through the illegal means to burst the pipe and tap their own and refine it in their own crude way. And that is exactly what is happening there now. So we just have to have a constitutional review whereby each particular community that is oil is being found, oil is being taken from there, they should have a stake in oil producing companies, that each oil company that extract oil from their community should be able to give back to that community. What they are doing is not enough.
Okay, that's another story, top headline in a Guardian newspaper. Nigerian hunger level serious, ranking 103 out of 121 countries.
Yeah.
What's your take about that, Alaji?
You see, this is a World Bank report for 2022.
2022, yes.
Well, for now, if you observe very well, since the year 2020, World Bank has been issuing this report. It's a kind of a damning report that's supposed to be like a wake-up call for on the government. But so far, we have not been seeing any effort on the part of the government, and you keep on seeing the poverty keep on increasing. The poverty we're talking about now is not even the normal poverty. We're talking about multi-dimensional poverty. Multi-dimensional poverty, it entails a lot of things. It means health to be affected, because if a situation whereby somebody cannot eat well, certainly his health to be at stake. And that is the situation where we are in now. The staggering figure in this 2022 is that at every minute, 6 Nigerians slide into poverty. That is what it means. To me, it's more or less like it's more than that, because if you look at it, the inflation is so high. So many families that could feed 3 times in a day before, today now they could not feed 3 times in a day. And then we're talking about so many other factors too that now buckled up to become this current trend of the poverty index that we have now. We have a situation whereby, okay, talk about flood, talk about the insecurity whereby a lot of farmers could not go to their farm to access their farm. And if farmers could not access their farm, it means it affects the harvest. And that is the situation we are into it today now. Well, each time that a certain body now issue out a report, that report is not just meant to be just a normal report just like that, or to be thrown on the table just like that. It's not meant for the policy makers, the government, the stakeholders. When we're talking about government now, we're not talking about only the federal government now. We're talking about the 3 tiers of the government, from the local government to the state government to the federal government. They should now collaborate together to make sure that they tackle this issue of this hunger and poverty problem. Well, another aspect to it is that out of the poverty index in Nigeria, according to the World Bank, over 18% of that poverty level comes from the north. It should be a wake-up call on the governors from the north, the stakeholders from the north, the religious leaders from the north, that look, out of the global poverty rate, Nigeria alone contributes 3 million of people into the poverty index, which is alarming. When we are talking about the north, it's not just when at the global level, they will not see it just like a north thing. It's a kind of a Nigerian thing now. So government should close up the rank to make sure that, look, this poverty is getting out of hand. People are suffering. People could not feed. People could not access healthcare system. People could not do so many things because of insecurity, which is affecting up in the north, and now you now have the situation now in the southeast too. Then come the other factor, which is nobody really plan for that, which is an emergency situation, which is the flood. All this now contribute to the poverty level that we are dealing with now. And then 2023 too is around the corner. Politicians too, they should be able to do their own part to make sure that, look, harness all the problems that we have now and come out with the blueprint that will usher us into the 2023 and beyond.
Well, next newspaper review will be on Punch newspaper. In Punch newspaper, we have Buhari budgets 248 billion for Lagos Ibadan Expressway and others, and University hold emergency meetings on resumption. Let's just look at this topic. Let's just focus on the project Lama project of the administration, and what the President Buhari intend doing with based on the recent budget that was passed. Was it last year? Last week Tuesday.
He presented a
bill last week Tuesday. That was 2022 bill. So he marked there's a massive project that will be carried out. And also the Lagos Ibadan Expressway has been the longest existing in our budget, and I think it is high time for us to clear it up once and for all. I think last time I checked, there's some ongoing construction there, but this current budget, I hope they will be able to. But I just want to hear your take, because if you looked at Nigerian situation now, East-West Road has been covered with flood. Yeah. Onitsha Road has been covered with flood. That is South-East Road has been covered with flood. Yeah. So I don't know the proper drainage on this our major highway express, including the road within the Southeast are also about to be covered with flood. Yeah. Yes, Delta as well. Delta, within Delta, Ugeli, and within that area are also been covered with flood. That was a report for this morning.
It's really a sad situation. It's really a sad situation, an unfortunate situation whereby this particular flood we are witnessing now, it happened in 2012. Exactly the same way it happened now, it happened in 2012. It means that we have complete 1 decade. Within that 1 decade, Nigeria could not look into what really caused that particular flood in 2012. And by now, if in a serious crime, we're supposed to have looked into it to say, okay, look, this challenge happened. As it happened, how do we mitigate this problem? How do we handle this particular problem if it really occur again? Nothing was done, and now it happened again. If you look at it very well, based on what they are saying is that a particular dam in Lagdo Dam in Cameroon, that the water became so high and it was being released. Once it released from there, it passed through River Benue down to River Niger at the confluence in Lokoja. From there now, it now moved down to Anambra, from Anambra down to the Delta, from Delta to Rivers and Bayelsa, and that is entire route that particular river is passing through. The whole community, the whole local government around that route has been submerged, and that is the situation that we are dealing with today. Well, it's beyond, it's an emergency situation that is beyond 1 state or 2 states or 3 states. It's a problem that only the federal government can easily handle, because it's involved a country to another country. It's supposed to involve a bilateral relationship between Nigeria and Cameroon, or another country that is around that axis that they share that dam. Well, it's really sad that till now, after 10 years, nothing was done. Now you have a lot of people suffering. That particular axis of the route from Onitsha down to some part of the east, down to the Niger Delta, it's now nobody can access it through that road. It means that if somebody that is traveling from Port Harcourt to Ugeli, he has to abandon that route to pass through Onitsha, and coming through the Onitsha to pass through Benin too. You now discover that particular the road is being submerged too. So it's really a sad situation. And just yesterday I saw it on a particular media, whereby an international media, they send their reporters down to assess the level of damage. It's a calamity. It's a calamity that government must intervene. It's really sad that we don't have an emergency situation whereby, if you look at it very well, Dr. Israel, you now discover that other countries, they have emergency management scheme. But in our own case here, I don't think we don't have that. Because
my focus is on infrastructure. So the government provide infrastructure. Yeah. So the point is, I don't know, but this whole situation is called for emergency. Yeah. Like what happened 2 weeks ago, or was it 2 or 3 weeks ago? That heavy flood scarcity in Abuja. Up to now, there's still no kill. At least it's not like when it was when it started earlier. But there's kill, but it's not like before. Yeah. Because of the Kogi bridge and all of that, it was flooded and all of that. That should proper drain. That should proper channel. Do you understand? So this area,
is beyond, because we are talking about climate change this time around.
Yes, of course. Look at it. That's already prediction that will be heavy rain this year.
And at the end of the year, it's now gone beyond the normal rain level now to a flood. Another external water being released into the normal river. Now that is why you now have, no matter the level of drainage that you think you have, certainly it will happen. The only thing is that if they are going to release water, you said, okay, this thing doesn't affect only Cameroon alone this time around. You said, okay, Nigeria, we are going from so time to so time, this is the volume of water we are going to release. They shouldn't just release that water only at once, because water, wherever you have the water that is flowing.
It's a dam. So when the dam is open, yes.
You understand me? So it's not something that they will just release at once. So okay, pour all the quantity of water they pour at once. It will not flood from there, enter into the normal river. The normal river of which it already had its own water. Other water is being pumped into it, and that is why you have that situation now.
But also I think that the state government and the local government also take up this responsibility, because they are the ruler. When you said federal government, they just up there. But if you have state government taking this responsibility, investing in these areas, I think they also go a long way.
If you look at it very well, for a very long time we don't have local government anymore. Local government only exists by name. You understand? Because
don't forget that they're autonomous now. So what do you say?
The financial autonomy is not there. You understand that even
there's a judgment that there is autonomous.
No, the governors they held their meeting and they blocked it. They are not implementing it. So a situation whereby a local government doesn't have autonomy over its resources, it means it can't exist with it like that. Take for instance, almost all the states who become the local government chairman is at the discretion of the governor. And they only have 3 years to say you come, you stay 3 years. And they don't. Financial autonomy means whereby the same allocation that the state is getting from the federation account, local government too should be getting their own directly, instead of being channeled to the state government. The governor now will not decide what the local government will get. A situation like, okay, take for instance like that particular community in the local government, the whole local government in Anambra has been submerged. What do you think the chairman can do? The chairman can do little, because he doesn't have that
capacity and financial capacity to execute an independent autonomous.
That is a serious problem.
Okay, so last week there's a good news. Nigerian students were so happy when they heard the news that first of all they heard as a rumor. Later they said there's a proper news, there's a story that is true, and all students resumed today. But some students are not in school. And from the newspaper now, they said they are asked to have, they're having an emergency meeting ahead of resumption. I don't understand what is going on.
Well, don't forget that ASU did not just get up and decide to say, okay, we are calling up. It's something that they are being compelled by the court judgment. So due to that court judgment, they now decided to, okay, we must comply, and that's
why they're still on court.
So you now discover that now they are going back to the class by force.
So that means the matter is still not over.
It has not been completely solved. You understand? So they are not they are just complying with the court judgment. So, and complying with the court judgment, it means that they must go back to the class. What we don't know is whether they are going to remain in the class when they eventually resume, or they will decide to stay for 1 month, 2 months again, and decide to come back to the same issue again and go back again. You understand? So, but it's just like a situation whereby we have when the two elephants fight, is the grass that will suffer. Who are the grass in this case now? The student. Who are the student now? The parent too. So we call on ASU to say, okay, look, it can be win-win situation. When you have a situation whereby you are dialoguing with an organization, which in this case is the government, they should put into consideration the feeling and the aspiration of the student too, into consideration too, because these children have been at home. Students have been at home for good 8 months now. It means they have lost a complete session now. So it's really sad. We are looking forward, appealing to the ASU, appealing to the government to whatever thing that is the gray area, they should be able to harmonize it so that the tertiary universities, they should go back to the classroom, and the normalcy should return back.
Let's also look at in Punch newspaper. We have first trouble hit article over anti-Yoruba Igbo comment. I think APC and MPP, PDP are using that trademark. They use as an opportunity to hit him hard. What's the stick about that?
You see, it's really sad that we're in political era. Politicians play to the gallery, and at times they now depend on the kind of forum they find themselves. They talk and talk and talk, and you understand, when you talk too much, you won't know when you talk out of control. And that is exactly what Atiku Dinan did. And then you understand that this is a campaign era, campaign period. Whatever thing you say, certainly people will read meaning into it. If you ask him, he will tell you that, look, this is what I meant, because he stated it that, look, he's a pan-Nigerian. you are a pan-Nigerian, then they are making reference to say, okay, look, you mentioned Igbo, you mentioned Yoruba. It means that he's talking about his opponent, that look, they shouldn't vote for Igbo, they shouldn't vote for Yoruba, but they should look for a pan-Nigerian. Of which, if you are talking about, okay, you are presenting yourself as a pan-Nigerian, why making reference to this? You should have stayed away from it. Well, whether we like it or not, good or bad, in a political era, where you make a statement, where your utterances must be censored by your opponent, and that is exactly what Nigerians are doing now. You will now discover that APC, certainly they will now say, look, you are saying you are a unifier. You recall that Atiku has been presenting himself as a unifier of Nigerians. Then you are making reference to this, which is more or less like a chauvinistic statement. It's really sad that he made it. Well, coming days, we'll see how his spokesmen, they are going to narrate or interpret what Atiku said.
The next newspaper to review will be on our Daily Trust newspaper. Daily Trust newspaper, we have Tinubu meets northern leaders today. Kwakwanso shown dialogue over secret endorsement. What's going on?
You know,
I don't see lobby to
sure.
What's going on? But he's a candidate.
He's a candidate on his own, and if you observe very well, all along this why he has been, like for instance, last week he was in Lagos, and we saw mammoth crowd. You understand? He was in Delta, the same team too. It means that he's now a force to be reckoned with. So, but well, you know, politicians, they have their ways of playing their game. Probably all along that he has been holding his rallies here and there, he's doing that to show to his opponent that look, I'm fully on ground. You understand? But one thing I am afraid of in 2023, if you look at what is happening from the Labour Party to NNPP and the APC, wherever they hold their rally, people must turn out to match this thing. So it means that I foresee a rerun. Honestly,
that will be the first time in Nigeria. That will not be a rerun, because the rerun will cause so much harm to Nigerian Electoral Act.
It will cause, but certainly, but we are talking about reality now.
Yeah, of course. Because there's a digital platform that need to speak for it, so that will not be a rerun. I don't think that will be a rerun.
Just pray so.
The numbers will count, and the Nigerians will vote.
Apart from that, again, apart from the say that particular any candidate should be able to pull from 25% from you understand. So it will come into the interpretation. Eventually, I believe that if it doesn't end with rerun, it will end up in court.
Exactly, but the point is that normally it will always end up in court. There's no time that will not be ending up in court. Every season it end up in court. So when I determine and interpret the figures and the numbers, where the figures are not variable and where the figures are bigger than the number of candidates.
But the good thing is that this time around we're going to, based on the amended at least it has some level of transparency in it. So whoever emerge, at least we should be able to see some credibility in it.
So another one, that is Fatiku. There's another clash over Tinubu's comments over the weekend. That is between PDP and PDP, APC and Labour Party. They also clash above Tinubu's comment. But there's a statement from the campaign organization that it was a slip of tongue. Yes, a slip of tongue.
Well, there's something that you can't avoid in the political era, a campaign period like this. When a statement coming out, what's on a normal day, that what we consider to be like a normal slip of tongue, when you are coming to a political terrain, it's no longer normal, because
the opponent can use it. Eat is a problem. The way you eat it, the way you chew it, the way you swallow it.
Probably maybe the way you are working with your wife, you walk past her beyond, and they will say, look at this one, you cannot take
it's not care. It's not caring.
So that is the situation we find ourselves now.
But so far so good. We have other political candidates there. They are out there campaigning, and we are watching them closely as media organizations here. But the next to discuss this morning is on Daily Sun newspaper. So in Daily Sun newspaper, we have Kanu. We also had the news of Kanu news over the weekend. Igbo lawyers tackled federal government, accused Mulami of court contempt. What's your take about that?
Well, it's really, I think over on this table here we discuss relating to Nnamdi Kanu. That is before the court judgment, the Court of Appeal ruling. Well, I don't know the area that the federal government is basing their own argument on, but holding on to Nnamdi Kanu to some extent, it will not go too well. Well, Malami, the AGF, he has come out to say, look, the court did not acquaint Nnamdi Kanu. Court only that there are other areas within the judgment that government is presenting against Nnamdi Kanu, that there are other areas. That the only area that the court now faulted was this. Well, I believe that now, it's just that it's unfortunate that the president has been insisting that, look, Nnamdi Kanu case should be treated legally and not through dialogue. But everything cannot be win-win. A situation whereby government continue to insist that it must pass through the legal process. Well, the legal process that the federal government is mentioning, the judgment has been delivered regarding it. Say, look, this man is not supposed to be in detention or any jail. They should release him. Then Attorney General of the Federation now is not coming out, is taking another distance. So it's not, to me, that is not the best way to go. The best way to go now is to look at the political angle to it, to say, okay, this guy should be free. But before they secure his freedom, if they are going to like have a kind of a dialogue between the federal government, Nnamdi Kanu himself, and his lawyers, they should be able to like look at it this way, to say, okay, look, help us to build peace in Southeast. If federal government should be to come out to say, tell him that, to give him that precondition, I believe that Nnamdi Kanu will comply with it. Because if you look at it very well, because of Nnamdi Kanu, who has been incarcerated by the federal government, you now discover that every Monday there is this sit at home in the Southeast, of which it's affecting businesses. It's affecting normalcy in the Southeast. Who even know if this guy should remain in detention? Who know whether election will take place in Southeast? Recall that only last week, INEC issued that warning that, look, election may be affected in Southeast and Northwest. So, government, instead of the line that Malami just took, they should be able to look at the kind of dialogue instead of taking these combative steps.
Right. So, still in Sun newspaper, we have flood spread more havoc, sorrow, agony. Take over Ogele Asaba Highway, East-West Road, 603 lives lost, many injured, 2.5 displaced, said Humanitarian Minister.
It's really sad.
2.5 million displaced.
It's really sad. It's a sad situation because
something else.
Based on that report, you now see they are talking about between Anambra and Delta. Then, if you go to Rivers and Bayelsa, the same situation.
Yeah, that was the
come
same
over
thing.
to Kogi too. The same
thing. Yes.
You can imagine that people in Abuja, up till now, they have not been able to recover from the scarcity of fuel due to the complete road that has been submerged. You understand? So, but just like we said before,
some families are trapped. Those on their way trapped. Some of them are trapped.
People now sleep in outside because it's a terrible situation.
Yeah.
It's a terrible situation. Somebody in a particular community in Bayelsa, they say somebody died, but they could not go and do the burial because where to do the burial?
It's totally submerged with flood. It's so sad. We'll pray that for the federal government to do something about that. Also, that it come to their aid, not just their aid. Also, let's find a lasting solution to it. But even though it's a climate change, let's also find a lasting solution to it. It's occurring almost every year, I think this year, last year was better. Last year was much better. Let's just talk about total grid collapse. So recently, we begin to notice that there's grid collapse in some areas. There's no light. There's taking off the light and all of that. So what's your take about that?
Well, it's the national grid collapse happening in the 2022. This is laughable because a situation whereby you have some other countries like Egypt. Egypt, you now discover that Egypt is a country of less than 100 million population, but they produce enough energy. Even at that, they are seeing it that, look, what they have over 60,000 megawatts. But here, we are managing between 4,000 to 9,000 megawatts of energy. You now discover that, and we're a nation of 200 million. How is this sustainable? Can we go like this? We cannot go like this. A situation whereby we're over the population of 200 million and we only have less than 10,000 megawatts of energy. It means we are not serious. We have not really started. But if you look at it very well, this problem of energy, it has been there right from Obasanjo administration in the 99 to 2007. Of which he has been able to do commission some energy projects here and there. Geregu, you have them scattered. Then Jonathan came too, they did the same thing too. And then Buhari too, he invested in the same thing too. But you now discover that despite all the investment, we could not be able to appreciate in energy generation. And when we don't appreciate in energy generation, you now discover that we're having that gap in the distribution and then the total collapse again. Something need to be done. I think the federal government need to declare an emergency in the energy sector. When they declare that emergency, then other things should be able to follow.
Next to discuss will be on Tribune newspaper. Tribune newspaper will have on a headline. On the headline, you see state of emergency, state of economy. More factories may soon shut down unless. Then another story there says, "I swear to God, I will end Nigerian security problem." Atiku. Vote for me. Don't vote for Atiku. Obi. Tinubu. So that is Tinubu is saying, vote for me. Don't vote for Atiku and Obi. Tinubu. I didn't write AGF to further detain Kanu. You hear the one? What does take a lot
I think I saw something on social media yesterday regarding a kind of letter-headed paper being used. Recall that from on Friday till Sunday there was accusation between Governor Hope Uzodinma and Ihedoha. According to Governor Hope Uzodinma's camp started it. They said, look, that there was a statement outside there that they now linked that statement to Ihedoha that said, look, he must be instrumental to it. And now you are now seeing that letter-headed from Ihedoha. But Dr. Israel, to me, if you ask me, I would say, look, these are politicians. On their own, the Governor Hope Uzodinma, I don't think he will be on that lane to take that steps to say, look, he would prefer Nnamdi Kanu to be locked up there. And I don't see a situation whereby Ihedoha will now carry his letter-headed and write a letter to the president to say, look, if you release this guy, he's going to cause havoc. You understand? But these are politicians. You understand?
The question is that who wrote the letter and where the letter emanated from? So, let's keep that aside. Let's talk about insecurity in Nigeria. Atiku said that he will end insecurity in Nigeria. How possible is that?
If you look at it very well, the insecurity problem today has become Hydra-headed, whereby, take for instance like the Northwest. The Northwest is all about banditry. And what is the cause of the banditry? Probably he has his own template that he will work on it to say, look, I can solve this problem. Because the banditry issue is more or less like an aspect of open grazing.
Open grazing, yes.
As long as there is open grazing, there will be problem between herders and the farmers. And as long as there is a problem between herders and the farmers, the herders who are into this banditry, they will always give reason to say, look, we must bear arms. And as long as they bear arms, this banditry will not stop. So I believe that probably Atiku has his own working solution to solve that problem. Then again, he talked about, I think last 2 or 3 weeks, when he was in Enugu, he said the issue of IPOB or issue of Biafra is as a result of marginalization, that is going to tackle marginalization. Whether if he how he's going to tackle the marginalization, nobody know. But it's all about representation, whether we like it or not. If any particular part of Nigeria is shortchanged in appointment, certainly that kind of revolt that we saw or we have been seeing from the southeast, it must arise. So I believe that by the time, if peradventure Nigeria decides to say, okay, Atiku, you are the president, probably he will say, okay, equal representation from the southeast. Then issue of open grazing is said, okay, no more open grazing. everybody that is entitled in livestock production should ranch his livestock. If you can do that, good and fine.
Ekiti State have a new governor, finally. Fire me out.
The new governor is stepping in. We
commend
the President Muhammadu Buhari, because we have seen so far that he has been able to like organize an election, a free and fair election.
Exactly.
So at least even in Edo,
Odo was
the election of
I think the digital was more used in Ekiti and Oshu. That is when the digital platform was more used.
Yes. Commend him at least to assent.
Also commend INEC
for the job well done. To commend them.
All right. So next, for those of you that have been joining us for the first time, do not forget that we remained your Aspheric TV. Do not forget that we also have a content where you read every day, get the breaking news on our www.asphericnews.com. Also do not forget that we are all out there on social media. We bring you content on social media. On social media, we have an Aspheric News that is on Twitter. We also have Aspheric News that's on Instagram. On our Facebook page, we have official Aspheric News. Please do not forget to follow us on our social media contacts. If you're joining us for the first time, do not forget. And also to reach us is on +234 809999 8117. And I repeat, +234 809999 8117. The number displayed on the screen. If you have any information that you want to reach out to, please kindly send us messages on WhatsApp or email us, please. Also, tag out on your stories on our social media handles. For now, we only say bye, and do not forget, we're here for you, bring you news and update. Don't forget our evening news. Thank you, and God bless.